Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Jamie. For our first DIY, we are going to start with this Dollar Tree basket, some moss, and some fall floral from Dollar Tree. I start by plucking the flower tops off from their stems and keeping the green leaves attached. Then I go ahead and hot glue these sunflowers onto the basket. I add a little extra hot glue on the inside for some extra reinforcement. This is what it looks like after all the flowers are done, and now to add the moss. I originally wanted to use Spanish moss, but this is all I had on hand. So this is how it looks after all the moss is on. I didn't worry about that handle because I didn't care about it. You can take it off with a pair of pliers if you want to, or wrap it in jute. You do you. Then I spray it down with some Mod Podge clear acrylic sealer because this moss is messy, and to make it not messy, you'll want to seal this with some type of sealer or some hairspray. Now to make this more fall-like, I use these pumpkin picks from Dollar Tree. I remove the sticks and then cut them in half. Now the second pumpkin doesn't end up having a stem, so I used a piece of the stick it came with, shoved it in the half pumpkin, and then I hot glued them in the spaces in between the sunflowers.
What?
After the pumpkins were added, I then hot glued some fall leaves and other picks from Dollar Tree, but feel free to decorate this any way you want. So this is how it turned out. Now that stand came from Goodwill for about $4 or $5. This may have been intended for a candle or something, but it worked out perfect for this project. So this is how I have it sitting on my table in my entryway. I lost the footage of how I decorated it, but what I did was purchase a couple of flameless candles at Walmart. I've heard you can find them at Dollar Tree, but I never seem to find them. At first, put some plastic bags in the bottom to fill it, and then use some small pumpkins and pine cones you can easily find at Dollar Tree. What's great about these flameless candles is that they have a timer, and you can time it just right, and you turn it on around dinner time and it'll stay on for about 5 hours and then shut itself off. And I think this looks so darn cute. For the second DIY, I took this pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree, popped the galvanized leaf and the raffia bow off with my butter knife. Keep that to the side because we'll use that later. So then I flipped this over to the back side. I found this beautiful fall fabric at Joann Fabrics. I bought half a yard, but we won't use that much. I'll have it for future projects. I do love this print with the wagons, the sunflowers, and pumpkins. It is just so cute. Now I use my Mod Podge, but before I do that, I cut the fabric down to size to make it easier to work with. And as usual, my little river needs to watch everything I do. Then I take my Mod Podge and do a thin-ish coat over this entire pumpkin, and then lay the fabric on top of it and smooth it out. I put a second coat of Mod Podge over top of the fabric once that first coat has had time to dry. I let it sit overnight. The next day, I take my sanding sponge and sand over the edges. Now, you could use scissors for this part, but I feel that the sanding sponge gives it the nice, crisp, clean lines. So here it is after that's all done. And then I'm gonna go in with some Waverly Chalk paint in the color Truffle. And I'm gonna use a thin paintbrush, and I wanna give this pumpkin some dimension by creating some lines. Just 2 lines right there in the middle, and it'll be the same lines that you see here on the front. So now I'm going to switch paintbrushes so that I can do a little dry brushing around the edges. You can go as light or as heavy as you want. Then I'm going to wrap the stem of the pumpkin with some jute while using some hot glue in some spots. Now I'm going to take this burlap ribbon I have, and you can use whatever you have on hand. Mine is too big, so I've got to cut it down to the size I like. Now don't throw your scraps away, we'll use some of that later. Now once I have my burlap where I want it, I hot glue it down, and then I add a Dollar Tree welcome sign with some hot glue. Now we'll use that galvanized leaf and that raffia bow. Take some of that truffle paint, distress it just a little bit so it's not looking so perfect, and then we'll hot glue it into place. And here's what it looks like all finished, but not so fast. I'm going to use this 3.5 by 5 inch picture frame from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take it apart, but save that frame because we'll use that later. We're going to take the backing from that frame and hot glue it to the back of our pumpkin so it can stand on its own. I think this turned out so adorable, and that fabric really screams fall. For our third DIY, I had this crate from a project that never happened, and I'll be using this Barn Red acrylic paint by Apple Barrel. I only do 1 coat over the entirety of the crate because I like any wood grain to show through. This project is Hobby Lobby inspired. I'd seen a crate similar to this that said Simply Bless on burlap, and I thought I could create something close to it. So I take that same burlap ribbon I used earlier, and since I want clean, crisp lines on the top and bottom of the ribbon instead of the frayed ribbon, I fold the seams under just a little bit, and then I hot glue those down. Now I do want the ribbon to have frayed ends, so I'm just pulling out some pieces to achieve that look. Now I'm just using the word harvest that came in the same pack as the welcome sign, and I'm just going to hot glue that down. Then I just take a little of that truffle paint and distress the ribbon a bit to make it more rough looking. Next, I just fill it with some Spanish moss and some Dollar Tree pumpkins, pine cones, and flowers and call it good. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces. It's so quick and so easy. The crate, by the way, came from Walmart for I think about $5, but you can always make one of your own for a lot less. For the fourth and final DIY, remember that picture frame from earlier? I'm going to take my Waverly Chalk paint in white and paint one coat over it. And if you're enjoying this video, my husband would like for you to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe. I went ahead with some metal pliers and removed 2 of those metal tabs because they aren't needed. Next, I'm taking these jumbo popsicle sticks or tongue depressors, whatever you choose to call them, and I'm going to measure them out according to the inside of the frame and cut them with scissors because we are making shiplap. Now, if all you have are the thinner popsicle sticks, that is fine. You can use those too. This is just what I had on hand. Once my popsicle sticks are cut, it's time to paint. Now I'm not looking for full coverage here, just a little bit of that white Waverly Chalk paint goes a long way. Then it's time to start assembling them into the frame by using a little hot glue on either end and popping them in. Then I take a little Waverly Antique Wax and Waverly Elephant Chalk paint and do a little dry brushing over just the frame. I have these mini sunflowers from Dollar Tree, and when I took them out, they were already bundled in this cute little bouquet, and I thought that looked really cute. So I kept it like that, but I moved the flowers around a bit to make it look really adorable. Then I took that burlap ribbon scrap I had, trimmed it down a bit, and then wrapped it around the bottom of the flowers with some hot glue, and then hot glued that to the sticks. Next, I use this ribbon from Hobby Lobby, make a simple bow, and hot glue that onto the flowers. And this is how it turned out. I love how farmhouse this is, and it still ties into the fall season. And this is what it looks like grouped together with some other fall projects I have done, and I can link some of those in the description box down below. Thank y'all so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at texas.girl.diys or on Facebook, same way it's spelled here. You can easily share what projects you've worked on the group page. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye!